Let us not dawdle, for there are grudges to settle, and new entries in the Dammer's Cron to right!
Howdy, howdy, Silver here, and welcome to another online ladder battle featuring the Dwarfs versus Skaven. And in this battle, I have been sort of playing with my build because, I got absolutely crushed by Dr. Krumpenstein, and the new Skaven are much more tricky to prepare for. So I'll go over my build. I have two miners out front, and they're really just to look at artillery, Jezzails to take the early shots. I do have 4 brimstone gun gyrocopters, and I do position them at the 4 edges of my deployment zone because I want to see any sneaky vanguard deployments, and they have the speed that they can actually get up and get to that front line. But I really, at some point, I really am going to catch somebody out. They're going to have death runners or something back here, and I'll be able to actually demolish them before they get there. For my front line, I do have just Dwarf Warriors, and Dwarf Warriors will deal with the Skaven chaff just fine. And for my back line, have Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. And they're sort of the anti-large contingent. They don't kill really fast, but they will put some damage on a Doom Wheel or Doom Flayers if they sit still for any amount of time. And I have some miners with my leadership group. I do have Thorgrim Grudgebearer, and he has this configuration I've been seeing. I wanted to try it out for myself. He has the Great Book of Grudges for the +9 melee attack. Look at how wide that buff is. And he has the High King, so if he does get focused, he will buff the entire army map-wide, +8 melee attack, immune to psychology, charge bonus, and weapon damage. And I do have a unit that I do have an army that can really use that immunity to psychology. And I do have 2 runesmiths with the Rune of Wrath and Rune, and I think this one also just has the Rune of Wrath and Rune. Yep. And that's really to slow down anything in my backline or to do damage to any big things. So, interesting, my army, my opponent he has 2 Death Runners, I think, hiding in here. Yep, 1, 2, and he has 1 way on this far side, hiding over here. He has his army very well spread out, obviously thinking about artillery. He has, I think, 3 Skaven Slave Slingers over here. He does have this unit of Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats. He does have 1 Doom Wheel and 1 set of Rat Ogres for sort of this part of his army. He does have a Gracier of Plague sort of right dead center in the middle. And he has the Arcane Conduit for the magic Warpstone Scroll to causes damage to flying units. Interesting. He's ready for gyrocopters. Vermintide for the summons. The dreaded 13th spell for the summon of a storm vermin. He has Unholy Clamor, so +18 vigor, 8 map wide. Wow, cannot target if the unit is not Skaven. That's crazy. He does have the Scorch, which is major magical and fire damage. The Wall of Unholy Sound, so 55 meters around him. Like Thorgrim, he has a 5 melee attack and 4 leadership, and he has all the rest, and he does cause fear. And for the rest of his units, he has a set of Skaven Slaves here. He does have a Plague Claw Catapult to put a little pressure on the back line. Now, they do magic damage, but they also have this Contaminated +10 leadership, and they have pretty good armor piercing. For his sort of group over here, he does have 1 Doom Wheel. He does have another group of Rat Ogres, 2 Clan Rats, I think. Nope, 1 Clan Rat, 1 Skaven Slave, just like the other side, and 3 Skaven Slave Singers. So we'll get this going. Very first thing, I'm just looking around the map here, trying to make sure there's nothing there, and I want to get up with these gyrocopters and just fly over the ground and see what's going on. I'm taking a look at his army right now, and really I'm looking at that Plague Claw Catapult, and I do want to get it, and this Gracier is all by itself. Like, well, I want to bring my units up, so try and get a bit of a heal advantage here. And that's where I'm going to set up. You can see I'm just pushing up right there, and I want to get shooting with my gyrocopter. So originally, I was coming in to go after this Gracier. He's got Arcane Conduit. I might put a couple shots in, and then I saw, well, maybe this Plague Claw Catapult will be a better target. I can sort of get it out right away. And unfortunately, I did not see these guys, which is crazy. Like, look how close I am. And I'm in the air, and I still can't see the damn things. They're really, really hard to see them. I'm just going to fly right over. It might take a few shots, but Skaven Slaves don't do a ton of damage. and I do have the hill advantage here, and I don't mind getting engaged with that Doom Wheel and with my other units. Now I do have my gyrocopters coming in here to do some damage. They're going to take some shots, and I think I am going to try and get in there for a bombing run, but I really want to just get everyone shooting at that Plague Claw catapult while this thing goes, so I can just eliminate them from the battlefield. So there you go. I got all 4 gyrocopters now shooting, and we're just going to make sure they get routed and they're off the battlefield. So this is starting to engage here. I do have the hill advantage with my troops. I'm coming down with my Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. I do want to sort of get on that Doom Wheel. It is hard to pin down. I have some Dwarf Warriors, great weapons in the background, and finally these Death Runners have been seen. We do have some of these units sort of in the background waiting to come up, but now I've definitely hit these Plague Claw catapults and have shattered them, and now I can change targets. Now in here, I'm just wanting to get my units actually engaged in the battle, and in comes this Grey Seer of Plague. I think I'm going to see that very soon and try and focus him down. So these Skaven Slave Slingers, they're not going to be very effective against Dwarf Warriors, against anything that's armored. These Rat Ogres will be, so you know, it is what it is. I am going to come in and I'm going to start focusing on that Grey Seer. So he's full health right now, and I still have a unit of Dwarf Warriors in the back line, and really I'm just, he's got that Dreaded 13 spell, he's got his summoned, oh, I thought that was a Doom Wheel. Okay, I thought he had a summon back here for some reason. Oh man, okay, there's a Dreaded 13 spell with the summon, and now we are going to come in with the gyrocopters and start to put pressure on that Doom Bell. There we go. So you can see these gyrocopters are actually quite effective at whittling this thing down, because there are 4 of them. They are going to get shot back with the Skaven Slaves, but I really just want to get some shots into the Grey Seer Plague, because that thing is really, really powerful. And, you know, it has like a Mortis Engine effect, and that's his spells, and that's his summons. So really, and he's got this Warpstone Scroll on my gyrocopters, but really, I just want to keep firing, keep shooting. I'll take the shots to try and get rid of that Grey Seer, because it's such an important unit for him. And you can see, you know, I am still buffing. Like Thorgrim hasn't been hurt, but I am buffing everyone. He's going to do another summon, because he does see that, well, he's going to try. He does see that he's getting a ton of pressure. I have Rune of Wrath and Rune on him, so he can't run away. Where I'm trying to catch up with him, he's now got, what, 23 speed, and my heroes can catch up to him, and now they're going to start doing a lot of damage, and my gyrocopters can hit him too. You can see they're getting a lot more shots into this Grey Seer, and really whittling him down fast now, down to 1300 health, and he's getting ready. He's really, really close to routing, actually. And the fight's kind of going on. I have lost some units over here. They are getting a little bit beat up, and these gyrocopters are not immune to fear and terror in the air. So that will add up over time, but you can see we still got everything focused on this Grey Seer. I have been a bit of help up with my main force, but here he goes. He routes. We're going to keep on him until he's absolutely off the field or dead, and there, boom, dies. So that's a huge deal for me. That is the end of the summons for this army. Now really have to refocus. What am I going to go after with my gyrocopters? I'm going to start going after this Doom Wheel. So again, focusing on the Doom Wheel now. This is a lot of chaos. Like, I am trying to give my other units orders, but there's Death Runners, there's another Doom Wheel, it's pretty chaotic all across the battle line. My leadership is just fine. They haven't even taken really any damage. You know, he's bringing in some Clan Rats and some Rat Ogres, and I got the minus 27 melee defense Oath of Vengeance on those Rat Ogres, so I'm going to be able to do a lot of damage. And now I'm just focusing down this Doom Wheel with my Brimstone guns, because that's really all I want. All I need to do is sort of focus one at a time, figure out what I'm doing, and keep on it. So I've got all of them focused on it. I think one more shot and we're going to get him routing off the edge. I am having some of my troops are coming back and getting in there, so you can see, boom, I'm after this Doom Wheel. I am going to send one of my gyrocopters to escort him off, and the rest of them are going to go back into the fight very, very soon. I got them all focused on there. I know I was watching this to try and make sure I actually killed it and got it off the battlefield, and you saw he was really, really close to the edge. So at some point here, I am going to actually switch and bring my gyrocopters back. Yeah, there we go. That one's going back to this Doom Wheel, and another one's going back to the Doom Wheel. Another one there. So we've got one just to escort it off. This is still chaotic in here, but really want to make sure this Doom Wheel can't come back and do any more damage. And that's what gyrocopters are so good for, escorting things off the battlefield. Now it is time to go after the other Doom Wheel. Death Runner, where's the other Doom Wheel? It was over here somewhere. There it is. So I got my gyrocopters going after that Doom Wheel. It has a lot of health. My leadership team is still doing okay. Thorgrim has hardly been touched, you know, and I do have both my runesmiths in here, and really he is now, a lot of my infantry has sort of been just routed off, just by sheer pressure, and they're off the field. But we do have a pocket sort of back here of some infantry that's left. We have miners, dwarf warriors. Really, we have a few units, but not that many. So I am going to try and gather them up. And this ball, I'm just happy to fight in there. Really, I do want to focus down the rat ogres, and with my gyrocopters, I just want to keep focusing on that doom wheel. Where is it? Rat ogres. Is it not in here? I thought it was in here. So now I'm going to get a pretty good route going on like this, but Skaven, you're never ever really done with them. Like they just keep fighting. Oh yeah, Doomwheel's way over here. He went behind his Skaven slaves, so I was taking some shots at some of this stuff over here. And we still got Death Runners. We still got our leadership crew, and this is going to be really, really hard. If we can get rid of the Death Runners and the Rat Ogres, Thorgrim can tank the rest. Really, I do know that. So I'm trying to focus them down. Now I've run out of ammo, so I'm coming in to charge with my gyrocopters to try and get a rear charge and route some of these units. I do have a little bit of ammo with this brimstone gun, and you can see I'm actually trying to get these units sort of set up and together over here, so I can gather what's left of my infantry together and sort of let them rest a little bit. So these guys are winded, because if they rest, they will have a little bit more morale, and I'm taking my gyrocopters out. They have done a rear charge, and then they can charge back in. So I'm getting a few more shots on that doom wheel, and the doom wheel does cause fear and terror, so it can terror out my runesmith, and you can see there he is. He's terror routed, and I am trying to come in and charge him, because I know I can stop that doom wheel, because the gyrocopters are big enough to stop that charge. And if I can get some shots in with Thorgrim, like they don't do a whole lot of damage, and they don't do armor piercing melee attacks, but if I can get a shot in with Thorgrim, I'm going to get the job done. And they all have +9, so you can see this gyrocopter terror routed, and you know, but Thorgrim's coming in here. And the Death Runners, I'm not terribly worried about the Death Runners. I know Thorgrim is very, very good at plowing through these guys. You can see I'm just sort of getting my group together and making sure I have sort of something going on there. I am going to come in, and I thought, well, maybe I'll just charge these guys and see if I can rout the Skaven slaves and let Thorgrim fight. He can fight all day. He's really, I'm still waiting for his buff. If I could get his buff, because they haven't, the Skaven player has done really good not to take Thorgrim down all the way, because I can't get his buff yet. So I'm coming in, so in comes the doom wheel, and I think, here we go, we've got the Death Runners, and the doom wheel is exhausted. I'm trying to get everything in there. I'm really trying to pin down that doom wheel, and I've got everything pinned with Thorgrim down here, and I am going to bring all my troops in now to try and get after that doom wheel. I do got to pin down, but you know, you can see again, my gyrocopter with brimstone guns has been terror routed, and he is trying to bring in his units, and Thorgrim's sort of going to have to chase up and bring in the back line. But you can see we've got a pretty good route going here of the units, but the doom wheel is still going. So we're routing, they're routing, but we're seeing a few more shatters with the Skaven slaves. I just really need to get in there and slow that doom wheel down and shut it down with my gyrocopters. My gyrocopters, you can see, okay, I don't know why this has got this weird aura on it, but that doom wheel is so darn powerful. You know, if I could get Thorgrim down to half health, I can go and easily, the rest of my troops are not going to have the fear and terror to worry about. So now I'm fighting Skaven slaves and Skaven slave slingers, and really I'll be able to tank those all day if I could just get that damn doom wheel out of my way. And yeah, we've got the Master Rune of Wrath and Rune on the clan rats. I probably missed the doom wheel, but anyways, it'll hurt them, and in comes the charge from the Skaven. He's going to come in with these rat ogres, and I've got this runesmith in here. I am going to bring my gyrocopters out. I do want to bring them out, set them up, and bring them back in for a rear charge if I can. That's a little bit more powerful, but these rat ogres are no joke. I have finished off these guys, or at least routed them, so now it's time to come in with Thorgrim. If I can get in there, you can see I'm going to get the buff. Once I get close enough, I can actually get these guys buffed. There's a +9 melee attack buff, and now I'm coming in with the charge. I really want to get in there and get after that doom wheel. And you can see we've got the Death Runners have shattered, which is really good for us, and you can see really we're starting to get more and more things off the battlefield. I just got to get this doom wheel. It is so hard to knock it down. I do have all my units over here. I have most of my units over here. Just really trying to deal with it, and I pushed off these Skaven slave singers with Thorgrim, and now I'm finally gonna route this damn doom wheel, and now it is shattered, and when it shatters, everything else finally shatter. So just a sort of a chaotic fight against Skaven. More of a classic build, I'll say. No Doomflayers and no Jezzails. Yeah, look at these Death Runners. 160, 70, 97, 68. And that's the sort of the weakness of having a lot of Dwarf Warriors, is they are really prone to Death Runners. Death Runners will chew them up. Same with Doom Wheels. Like these Dwarf Warriors with great weapons can put a little damage on Doom Wheels, but my heavy hitters were always meant to be the Brimstone guns. Look at Thorgrim, 189 kills. Runesmith, 72, 41. Even my miners did alright, 24, 15, 49. Obviously they're fighting slaves and stuff like that, but Dwarf Warriors, 58, 11, 26, 30, and 28. Not great. Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, 36, 23, 35, 10, and 18. And yeah, the Brimstone guns, 18, 27, 26, and 22, but really it was killing their big things. They killed the artillery, then they killed their Greyseer, then they killed one Doom Wheel, and they ended the battle by killing another Doom Wheel. And they did a little bit of damage to Rat Ogres and various things along the way, and they were still all there at the end. Like, Skaven Slave Slingers are just not enough to deal with Gyrocopters with Brimstone guns. They don't have enough armor piercing. For my opponent's army, only 9 with a Great Seer. I really focused him down fairly early. Only 6 with that Plague Clock Catapult. But 17, 12, and 8 with Skaven Slaves. You know, that's really not bad, considering this is a unit worth 125 gold. They're such an efficient unit. 70 with the Clan Rats. That is gross. That is gross. 34 with these Clan Rats, 160, 97, 68 with the Death Runners are a really strong unit. 5, 3, 14, 0, 0, and 7 for the Skaven Slave Slingers. I really don't think these are a unit worthwhile bringing. You know, maybe 1 or 2 in case they're Slayers, but no more than that. They just can't perform in this matchup. The Rat Ogres, you do see them from time to time, 83 and 53. And Rat Ogres do a lot of job to Thorgrim, do a lot of work to Thorgrim because they're armor piercing, and they do have, I believe, anti-large. I could be wrong on that. And 46 and 84 with the Doom Wheel. So 46 with the Doom Wheel I focused, 84 with the Doom Wheel that I didn't. So, you know, I'm working on my thinking in this matchup, trying to get better and trying to build a Dowie army that can withstand a little bit, can withstand a few Skaven builds. So this is the problem. They're sort of the classic Skaven builds, which is more like a classic build. I would say a classic build would have more storm vermin instead of rat ogres. Maybe one group of rat ogres, but really you don't need them. I think storm vermin are plenty, and you know, I think that's more of a classic. But then you have the Doomflayer build, which we saw against Dr. Krumpenstein, and then there's a Warplock Jezzail build, which we've seen against with Umaze and a Move Hacker. So there's a lot to prepare for. So I've been thinking a lot about how I'm doing my builds here. And with that said, I mean, I'd love to hear from you guys on the build, how you think it performed in that fight. I know it was very chaotic, but I was really trying to focus on targets, doing my best to get that done. I mean, it's actually really hard to do when you're in the middle of the battlefield, but I was very happy with my gyrocopter play in this game, because I do have a very hard time microing 4 gyrocopters. Now, to be fair, I let the rest of my army go a lot to get that, so I was microing my gyrocopters almost exclusively for good portions of the battle, but they performed. They did get rid of the Greyseer, the Plague Clock Catapult, and both the Doom Wheels eventually. So, you know, but there was consequences for that. These Death Runners were crushing. So, anyways, I'd love to hear from you on the build, and I am going to keep developing this concept of how I'm going to play with the Dowie against the Skaven, and there are some fun events on the way, on the horizon. I'm going to be working with a Rorca and, well, I'm not going to say much more. It's just be ready this coming Thursday for a fantastic series beginning, and to really work on my game specifically and things like this specifically. So anyways, I hope you found that interesting, and I will see you soon.